All right, welcome everybody. This is a very special edition of Miracles, Magic, and Coffee. And I'm excited to be with Ellen Silva from Brazil. And we're kindred spirits. We do a lot of similar stuff. She has a version of therapy called systemic family constellation and a lot more than that. And we were talking earlier off screen, I guess you'd call it the green room. And yeah, and we were talking about some of the things that are going on in the world and in healing and for entrepreneurs and for healers that are, entrepreneurs. Healers are entrepreneurs as well, and getting your healing message out to the world. It's important now more than ever, the way the world's going and what's going on. It's so important to heal ourselves and heal the world. And if you've got a gift to bring to the world, we're here to help you figure out how to do that. And so, Ellen, I'm so excited to have you on. Welcome to, thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know, you're in Brazil and you used to be in the United States and you've done all sorts of things and you're doing some very powerful healing work in Brazil with people online, actually, in both the Portuguese speaking world and then now in the US world. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a systemic family constellation facilitator, and everybody looks at, oh my God, constellations, like, is it the stars or is it horoscope or something? And no, it has nothing to do with that. It was just like bad translation from German. It is supposed to be something like rearranging, like repositioning, and not necessarily constellations. So what I do is not related to horoscopes or things like that. It's very scientific, if I may say, but what we do is I help clients observe their family, the positioning of their family, and observe the patterns of behavior that they have there that are like, let's say, hidden behaviors. And then for some reason, it's creating issues in my clients' lives, right? So when they observe a pattern of behavior that just went on hidden for a couple generations, it gives us a result now that it's not what my clients want. So when we observe the pattern, they are able to identify on their daily lives when that pattern is happening, so they can stop it, they can change it, they can reframe it. So it's very like freeing.
Yeah, so whatever pattern is showing up, if something's showing up in life, it might have a certain feeling or a certain flavor to it that is kind of like, oh, that's kind of like my grandparents or my parents or somebody else in the family, generational that you don't even know, something that's kind of being played out again and again, and now it's showing up in life.
Yeah, it's like, let's give an example. Like someone used to live in Europe and immigrated to another country during war, right? They go through a lot of bad stuff, difficult stuff, uncertainty. 4 generations after, I may be here, I've never heard about those ancestors. I connect to that information of difficulty, of challenge, of, war zone stuff. And so it's like I start having these feelings of insecurity in the things that I'm doing now on my day-to-day life. And it's actually not my feeling. It was like my ancestors' feeling that were too strong at the time, and they didn't release those patterns. So when I identify those patterns, I can separate like what's mine, what's theirs. And then those feelings, they're not so strong anymore. Like the anxiety that I had, the fear that I had, some difficulty that I had at my job, for example, they're not as strong as they used to be when I separate what's mine and what's inherited.
Yeah, we'll talk about how that works, because it's like I can kind of relate to my parents. Like, oh my goodness, they had this thing happen, and it was a lot of failure. And there was parts of my life as I was coming up here to the Northwest that I'm like, this is a little too eerie, that how similar-ish some of this stuff is playing out. and my mom was a speech pathologist, and my sister's daughter is a speech pathologist, and my mom was a teacher, and my sister's son is a teacher. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my mom wanted a healing center in Texas, and it went a little funny, and I seem to be on this mission to do a healing center with people from around the world. It's like she wanted to help children, and I'm like, part of our mission. It's like, it's just kind of like, oh, this is a little weird. So it's kind of I kind of get it on a level of like, okay,
Yeah.
kind of has something that's interesting. It's cool to think
Yeah.
of a big change, a pattern. Tell me, how did you get into this? Like, tell us some of your backstory, what you've been up to, and how you got to this point where this is what you do, and where you and I are doing some stuff together that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
tell us
Well,
about your backstory. What happened? How did you get to?
Yeah, I came into it from like desperation. I was like going through a lot of stuff in my life. Like I had a business. I owned an English school in Brazil, right, where we teach English as a second language. And I was working with children every day. I mean, we had adults, but we had a lot of children. And as I was dealing with those children, a lot of things came up for me, like a lot of emotional things came up for me because I saw children having problems with their parents. And I started, it was like really messing with me. And I was like getting really emotional about it. And I'm like, but I have to run a business. I have a daughter, I have a life, I have but I saw that it was like resonating with me too much. And then when I started having I had some serious, very specific problems at the school, somebody told me about it, like, look into this family constellation thing, because I think you're gonna resonate. And I was like, this is too out of the box for me. I'm a businesswoman. I'm doing serious stuff. I don't know that I believe it. And then things got more serious, like the problem that I was dealing with at the time got more serious. And I decided to go. I was like, well, I have nothing else to lose. And I did. And when I got there, it's like you don't give a lot of information, right? And when I got there, she uncovered a pattern of situations that happened in my family that I was like, I can't believe she knows this. Like, how does she know this?
Like
and
a
it's
psychic
like,
or something.
Yeah, it's almost like a psychic. And now that I'm into it, I'm like, oh, it's morphic fields. We all have access to this information from our ancestors, it's like everything is information around us. So we're just not used to connecting to it.
Yeah, I want to tell people, because that word, it might be familiar to some and not familiar to others. The way I understand it, let me know what your version of this is. Like a morphic field is kind of like Wi-Fi, or how the internet is everywhere. And in Brazil, Ellen can open up her phone and get a movie, and I can open up my phone here in the US and get the same movie, and we can talk to the same person in China, and so the information is here, and it's also there, and it's also here, and it's also there, and it's got all this infinite bit of information. And so a morphic field, from what I understand, it's kind of like that, right? But with
it's like Wi-Fi. And the thing is, the morphic field is like when we go into a family constellation session, our family has a morphic field. So we pick up this information. It's like the signals, right, of things that we're having in the family. And usually we connect to the bad stuff more than the good stuff because it brings more emotions, right? So for example, a tragedy happened back there. A mother lost a son for whatever reason, right? Had an abortion, for example. It's a very tough emotion to deal with. So it kind of overloads into the next generations in a series of different emotions, because that mother had that emotion very strongly and didn't work on it. Like the other children that she has will feel like not too connected to her because she's connected to something else, to the loss of a child. So it becomes abandonment issues. It becomes connection issues. it becomes like marital problems because people stay too connected to the heavy information, so they're not connected to the other people.
So you were running this English as a second language school, and you started seeing some things coming up in the children's lives and also in your life too. Like was there?
Yeah, it was in my life too. And I started having issues with my daughter, and I was like, I'm so good with the children. How is it that I'm having problems with my daughter's behavior? And when I went there, it's like the children, they are way more intuitive than we are because we are all working and worrying and stuff. Children are just receiving. They're just connecting to the information, especially until they're 7 years old, right? So I had all this stuff that was bothering me my whole life, but I was like, oh, I can work through this. I'm a businesswoman. I can do this, right? My daughter came in and almost like rubbed it in my face, like there's something here.
Oh yeah.
So she started having like behavioral problems. And that's when I went to the family constellation thing.
So you wanted to shift this thing, something was up with you and your daughter, and you're like, what is this? And then and you were great with the kids, and you started to find out that there's some information out there that maybe isn't even of you and your daughter that's affecting you.
Exactly.
Wow. And so then
and so I got into the session, right? And it's like the children, whatever it is that we don't deal with emotionally, the children perceive it and they grab it. It's almost like they grab it.
Well, I've actually experienced that. Like when there's trouble brewing with the adults, like me and Jen, you can tell there's something going on and there's this thing, and something will happen.
Children act up.
Yeah, they act up, or they get a little accident, or something happens, and it's like we know it's like, whoa, it's almost like you created this ripple wave that then goes to people.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's some kind of emotion that us, like as adults, we don't really know how to deal with it. So we just kind of shove it down.
Yeah.
We're like, oh no, I have stuff to do. I have work to do. I have things to attend, meetings to attend. So we kind of leave it there. The children, we embody it.
Yeah. So this was kind of put right in your face with your own daughter. And, and as you started to go through it, was it like, what happened? Did stuff change for you and your daughter? Or was it like up and down, or were there more?
Oh, it fluctuates because it was like opening Pandora's box. Because I was like, not connecting to my feelings at all. I was just like business and stuff and making money and doing the things that I'm supposed to do in the meetings. So when I got there and I saw how it was affecting my daughter, I panicked. I was like, oh my God, this is all in my family, all of these patterns. And it's like my family has all of these very, very toxic patterns. Like no one takes care of their emotions. So it ended up being like generational pattern of suicide, mental health, like all kinds of stuff, like to the limit, where you can't deal anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, all of these emotions, all of this stuff is being like pushed down through generations.
Yeah.
And now it's
like they're all in the same room. It's kind of like they're all in the same room. And there's all these really serious, heavy problems like suicide and all these other problems. And if you walk in a room like that, even if nobody says anything and they smile, you don't feel so good.
Exactly. And it was like so weird because I lived in a different city from my parents. And when I came to visit, I got physically sick. I passed out when I got to my parents' house. And I was like, what is going on, So when I saw what was going on energetically, like the emotions, how much emotion was suppressed, I was like, oh my God, this is a time bomb. This is gonna explode.
Yeah.
We just need to start dealing with it. Like instead of pushing it down, just bringing up these emotions and whatever it is that needs to be seen, we can deal with this. We need to, because if we don't, this is the weight that it's going on our children's back.
Yeah.
If we don't look at it, the children will.
Yeah. What, as you start to go and uncover this Pandora's box and go into these old traumas and patterns and stuff that were now affecting you and your daughter,
it was like
really
overwhelming.
It was overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Yeah, because I didn't know what to do. I was not into like spirituality or energy healing. I just thought it was like all too crazy, you know? I was like, business. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? How do I deal with it? Right? And I tried to do a lot of it, like going to this family constellation meetings that we had. And then all of a sudden, the Corona happened.
Oh.
And then we couldn't go into the healing anymore, like the sessions. And that's when I started studying. So I dedicated like a year and a half to just studying, just going to the family constellation, what's behind it, how you do it, became a facilitator. But still, it's very overwhelming because when you come from a family with a lot of emotional trauma, and you open up that box, it's like it all drops down on you. Everybody's living like suppressing their emotions, but it all comes out to you. You're like, oh my God.
Do you have any, can you give a little bit of like maybe some story or something? Like some people might be listening and going, you know, maybe this is why I'm failing in business, or, you know, why never on my third or fourth marriage, or, you know, this is always happening to me. And then it's easy just to like, almost like a cop out, like, well, I'm screwed. It's just like, it's in the generations.
Like the
idea how it shifts.
Yeah, it's like this, right? I had been, let's say, married. I was living with my daughter's father for 5 years. And it didn't work. We split up, and I was like, well, that's just life. You split up. I just made a bad choice and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then when I went to look into the patterns of behavior in my family, it's like women had been mistreated in the past a lot by men. So what the women in my family did is like they became strong. Like, well, we don't need men anymore. We work, we make money. So it's like we're excluding the men. And here I am thinking that I'm choosing a partner, that I'm choosing my relationships. I'm not. I'm just being loyal to the women in my family that felt like we're going to make a revolution here. We're not going to suffer at the hand of the men anymore.
Wow. So,
and we think that we are making these decisions, you know, like with money, for example. I was losing a lot of money, having like a lot of problems. And I was like, this is not normal. It can't be normal, right? I go into the session to see what pattern is behind it. There was a lot of slavery related to my family. I don't know if there were slaves in my family ancestors, or if we were the ones who enslaved someone. But it's just like when you are connected to that energy, a lot of people felt that they lost money or things because of you, because of your family. Wow. That energy it passes on generationally. So maybe now I'm losing money to be loyal to the ones who suffered and lost money in the past.
That'd be a hard thing to overcome in business, to like.
Exactly.
And you found some ways out of all that. tell us a little bit about, like, so you got this family constellation that is like, you can uncover this stuff, and then we're doing some work together in a group that goes and clears stuff. As you went through and uncovered this stuff and saw it in your clients and did that sort of thing, what was your what was your epiphanies? Any kind of like this is fixable, right?
Exactly. That's the epiphany I had, because before I saw life as challenges to overcome. Oh, life is difficult. There's a lot of problems, and you work hard and you overcome them. When I saw this, I was like, no, life doesn't need to be hard. It's been passed on to me that this is how we see life, as very hard, as you have to work a lot to make money. And I'm like, no, you have to suffer, to get somewhere, to achieve something. And I was like, no, this was like the general feeling in my family. And the thing is, when you want to break out of that general feeling, if the most people feel like it's very difficult, or relationships are difficult, men are bad, and you want to break out, you get so much resistance, because it's almost like you get this inner struggle of, this is what I want, but it's almost like I'm betraying my family because they're suffering and I don't want to suffer. So you get this inner struggle. And I was
there's
like,
a conflict, like if you get this thing changed, you're going to be leaving behind something that maybe you.
It's like we have this innate need to belong to our family. And when we start to break the pattern.
I've heard that's one of the biggest driving instinctual things, is to be part of the herd. Like, because if you're an elephant and you're all of a sudden not part of the herd, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
Yeah, or like a little deer, if it's not part of the herd, it's like, or the zebras, it's like, that's not going to work. So there's an instinctual thing. We want to be part of the herd. So even if it's a herd that's abusive, or an old pattern from the past that's not useful, it's like to leave that behind is death. It's like death is, so you're not going to like die. Let's stay with this pack. So that's what we do in a family. It's like sometimes you say, oh, like your husband's so abusive, why do you stay? Because that's how they learned in their family to survive. So they don't even see a different perspective. Some clients it's really quite interesting how somebody will come right to the door of, here's how to heal this thing and go on, and they go back to a situation where it's like, oh my God, they're choosing to like have every reason not to go through this door when they just got shown this door.
Exactly. Because they don't know, right? It's their innate desire to belong to the family. And the thing is, for those when we identify,
for the people that are dealing with they've got a pattern. Like, I remember my I don't study astrology or anything, but I had some friends give me an astrology reading many years ago when I had a therapy practice in San Diego. And the one thing I remember, about the only thing I remember, was he said he drew a little line through San Diego all the way up to Vancouver, Canada, and on the west coast of the US. And he says, well, that's interesting. If you want to work on your family stuff, it's right here. And he's pretty much circled where I'm living right now. And and I thought, well, that's funny. I always wanted to live in the Pacific Northwest. Very funny. Yes, I'll be fine. But it's interesting because my family failed. They were doing my mom got a PhD in a speech therapy version of psycholinguistics, and they were coming back to Texas from Wisconsin to build a clinic and to have a home and to like have all these children come around the world and to get healed there. And we were going to have a home and we were going to be rich, and all these our friends would come and visit. And long story short, my stepdad blew through what would have been like $350,000 that was given to him as an inheritance from my uncle Charlie dying, and he blew it and ruined it, and they just left it. It was a failure. And And so it's quite interesting because when I had a successful practice in San Diego, but then stuff started to kind of like go funny, like Medicare quit paying me for a year and some other stuff happened. And we ended up going, my health had to shift. And I thought, well, let's go to the Pacific Northwest. We always want to live there anyway. And we got up here, and I won't go into all the story of it, but it was like eerily too similar. Like, oh my goodness, this could be failure the way my parents, not quite as weird as they did, but it's like there was a pattern that I was like, this just looks too similar to this.
Exactly,
and I remember that a scholar was saying that if you want to work on your family stuff, come up here. And so I guess I did, because we shifted stuff, and we did shift it. And we have a way, and you and I have a way to do this in our other group that we can talk about. But yeah, it's like if for people that are having a tough, like, you know, going along, and everybody has their challenges, whether you're making a lot of money, or you're trying to figure out how to make money, or you're trying to do your work, or you're just not going out and doing it, or you're too afraid to take chances. Everybody has their versions of life doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, of challenges.
Yeah, and you're hearing these stories of Ellen talking about, you know, it could be written in the generations. And it kind of rings true for me. And I found a way out where it's like we're using it for good, and there is a way out of this, right? Like
exactly, that's
way out. Like how?
That was like my epiphany, because I was like, okay, I see the pattern. I know what needs to be released.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, but I was like, I need to be living at the same time. I can't spend the next 10 years healing all of this generational stuff. I need to have a business. I need to make money. I need to support my daughter. So, like, what can I do? And I was like, just asking for something, you know, like, I was like, oh my God, I know what's the problem. I can see it, but how long is it gonna take? Because like, it's like energy healing. It's exhausting. Sometimes I couldn't get out of bed after a very strong session that really moved the energy. And then I found you, but I already knew you for like 2 years ago on YouTube.
Oh, how funny.
But I was, but 2 years ago, like when I was opening this school, I was just like, it's too out of the box for me.
Yeah.
You know? And then I saw your video again. And I was like, oh my God, now I understand what he was talking about this energy healing. Now I can see how this fits into my life. And then that's when I contacted you. And we started in the group. Yeah. And I'm like, it was such a relief.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to have you with me doing this work with people. And it's quite interesting. Like 2 years ago, I was a different person than I am now. And where we're going to be in 2 years from now is like, you know, beyond where we are now. It's like a journey. And I can relate to that. Like some of the stuff that I was studying 20 years ago, I'm looking back now going, oh my goodness, my Qigong master and all these other people, these healers and teachers were telling me exactly the secret of like accessing this infinite energy and potential and seeing a really result. And they were telling me, and I was missing it. And it's quite amazing to come around and go, oh my goodness, this is the same thing of how to access this this infinite. Because there is we've heard that there's like infinite energy in the vacuum, and you know, the spiritual people will say the answer lies within, and even Jesus said, don't you know you are a God? And it's like, okay, there's this infinite energy, this infinite potential, this miracle space. And it's funny how they've been telling us stuff, and you and I are both coming to this epiphany that, oh my goodness, it's easier, it's simpler than we've been led to believe. Not to say easier, because it's so simple. I think that's why most people don't do it. It's just
because they're just like, no, there must be something else, right?
They gotta try to understand it. Or it's like, it was me. I thought I understood it, but I understood some concepts about it in my mind. It was kind of like understanding the physics behind a sunset. and oh, the sun goes around the earth and this happens. And so for the people on earth, it does this. And you could talk about it forever and study it and get a PhD. But if you've never seen a sunset, you don't have a clue of what a sunset is. But you sit there and watch the sun go down over English Bay, and it's like, oh, that's the sunset. But all the talk about it wasn't it. So it's kind of like that. There's an experience to it that where you go, oh, so that's
yeah, because I watched your videos like 2 years when I was there at the school. So 3 years ago, I watched it.
wow.
But like like when you plant a seed, the seed was there, but I just couldn't. It's like I couldn't taste it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so interesting, but I couldn't touch it.
Yeah.
After I studied about this, I was like able to understand what is a morphic field, how to connect to this information. I was like, now I get it. And now I understand.
Yeah. It's so funny because I studied with a medical intuitive healer in 110 classes and very precise, and it's all like that. And I think there's definitely a usefulness to go through all that to then come back around and go, oh my goodness, you could actually access this healing much more directly without a lot of this work, like just a lot of work for a little gain. And
yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I found that I find amazing about this group is the thing that I see, like most of my clients, they are so afraid to go into the pain.
Yeah.
They're so afraid to go into healing because they feel like, oh my God, I'm going to suffer and, I'm going to make a fool of myself and I'm going to cry and stuff. And it's like, if you don't go into what's bothering you, you can't fix it if you don't acknowledge that it's there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But the thing is, I see people so scared and so afraid of healing. And I'm like, it's the best sensation ever when we go into this group.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, let's focus on this stuff here. This is bothering me. For example, my relationship with this person is bothering me. Let me focus on it. We focus on it for like 5 minutes. It starts dissolving or I don't know, transforming or whatever it is that it's happening. There's no like suffering. And I see so many people suffering with like addictions and depression and losing money and feeling insecure on their jobs or whatever it is that they're doing or in their relationships. And I'm like, you don't need to suffer to get this stuff out. It's almost like getting out the layers that we wrapped ourselves around.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think until you realize why the power of going into this, like you said, the feeling of it and being there and not trying to go away from it, you don't realize that it's like you feel it once and then it's gone. You don't have to keep stuffing it down. And these days,
people suffer every day to like press it down and not feel it. So it's like they are suffering every day and they are afraid of suffering. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it might sound like scary, like oh my goodness, well, I don't want to suffer. And I understand that, and nobody does, and it's not anybody's fault to have to deal with all the stuff they're dealing with, especially if it's generational and stuff. It's that these days there's so many. I think the reason you and I are so excited about this way of healing this stuff, really healing it, and not having to go be tied to the past and the generational stuff and all these things that seem to just come back and like get you, and repeat patterns is that we're at a time when we're being pushed in ways that I think, every generation thinks they have the worst of the worst, and the atomic age and all that stuff was like scary and everything. The thing is, it's like we are at a really critical time, I believe, in humanity, and the way kids are being, the lockdown stuff, let's just say like that. People aren't able to congregate, and anxiety is at an all-time high. They even talk about it in the Olympics, and people are bowing out of their Olympic sport because of anxiety. And beyond that, it's like how to make money and how to live, and everybody's stressed about this and stressed about that. There's a lot of pain, and there's the opioid crisis, and marijuana is now the biggest business ever. There's people that are really literally saying to hack anxiety, smoke marijuana, and they have all.
But do you notice that people want to numb it?
Yeah.
They want to numb the feeling instead of like, what is this feeling trying to show me?
Yeah.
What do I need to be aware here?
Let me ask
I
you,
don't need to suffer anymore.
I think it might scare people to think about like going and feeling this. It's like, I'd rather numb it out, you guys. But what happened? What did you notice? Was your what happened with you when you did this process? Because the process we're talking about, and we can talk about it a little bit more, is because there's a way to clear this up. That's what Ellen and I have found. And what was the results you got? Like, you talked a little bit about like these things that happened, and then it was like there was it sounds like there was no charge on it. What happened to you? Like, what kind of got you
it's changed so much, because I was so like, I had all of this anxiety and self-doubt, and I'm like, on one hand, this inner conflict about everything, like, this is what I want to do, but what if it goes wrong? And then there's all this pressure around me and family, like all of this pressure. So when we go in and we look into it and we feel it, it's like all the noise just blocks out. It's almost like going to silence. You had all these voices, this is what happened in the past. You felt in the past, you did this in the past, that person blamed you. Like, you made this decision that was wrong. You just like quiet it down.
I liked what you said. I think that's the key word, is stillness. Silence.
Exactly. It's almost like you silence it down. Everything calms down.
You're not talking about squashing it down. It's different.
No, it's just like, it's almost like you go in, and before it was like you were out here defending yourself from criticism, from like what other people think, the decisions you've made in the past, the decisions you need to make now. And then all of a sudden, you're just in the present with whatever you can do now. Not what happened, not what's going to happen, but what I can do now.
Yeah, So tell us a little bit about how life is now going through this thing, and then I want to talk about what you're up to, because you've done a lot in Brazil, and you're starting to now go into the United States. And so as far as like your healing work, to get the healing work out to people.
So life's been way easier now, because the concerns that I had before, I just don't have anymore. So I can actually focus on what I'm doing without being concerned about all of these external voices, right? And so like when I go into a session, I feel like more focused. Clients are showing up more. I am getting into contact with all of these people from all over the world that are starting to hear about this therapy and be like, wow, I've been suffering from depression for 10 years. Like my husband's an alcoholic since we've met. And it's just like, it seems that now what I have to offer people, I'm being able to connect to these people more than before.
So you were running that school, and you're a businesswoman. You've had a few businesses actually that you didn't even talk about. And now you're doing this healing work, and you're doing it in Brazil, and now you're bringing it to the United States. And so it sounds like you're clearing this stuff has helped in the physical world, like business.
Absolutely. Like the people that I meet now are so different than the people I used to deal with in the past, because I was going to like problem solver mode with everybody. And now it's more like there's an exchange, so I learn things from people, people learn things from me, we get ahead. We don't just stay in that same thing that was in the past, like problems coming up all the time. So it's very productive. Let's say I've been a guest in a few podcasts talking about this therapy, like what is behind this, what is behind abuse, what is behind alcoholism, what is behind like problems with my children.
And let me ask you this: do people need to go way into the story of it all and like go like do lots of like talk therapy with this stuff? The way you're
no, because what they talk is what they've been. It's like the information that was given to them by the parents. Their basic programming was given by the parents. So whatever perception the parents had, it becomes their children's perceptions. And then it becomes a lot of conflict. So we feel this strong emotion. We want to tell a story to make it fit.
Yeah.
When we should be actually healing it, not claiming it like, oh, I have this depression. No, this depression is here. I'm connecting to this information. What do I need to see here to transform it? It's not like, oh, I have this depression and, it makes me do this, whatever. It doesn't matter what it makes you do or doesn't allow you to do. What matters is, why do you have the depression? What caused it? When you let go of the story, like we in the family constellation, we just look at the story to show them that what's happening to you now has happened in the past. So do you see it now? It's not your story. Like you can just let go,
And then
you don't have to
you're not doing
tell
talk
the story
therapy
anymore.
Yeah, you're not doing talk therapy, but you're using the story to kind of like get really clear of here's the thing we're gonna clear, and then when you're going in and actually clearing it instead of like just talking about it and going over it. That's quite a different way to think of healing. It's more like a transformation.
It's very different.
It's like you really can let something go.
Yeah, we don't go there and start talking about people's problems. They just bring in, what is my issue? Is it with money? Is it relationship? Okay, so let's understand what connection went wrong in the past that's causing you to repeat this pattern.
Yeah.
And we release the energy.
Yeah,
we don't talk about, all of my exes or my ex-husband or this happened. It's just to understand where it's coming from and how I can transform it now. Yeah, and it can, I put your link for more information from you. The best one is the Instagram, probably, right? Like Instagram.com/ELENCSTERAPEUTA. I've got it in the comments. And then we have another link, the ralphhavens.com/gold. And that's the group that Elle and I have teamed up in, and we work together in, and we do stuff together. And it's quite an interesting group, because when you said morphic field, it's like we're each healing ourselves with this stuff, and then we're healing everybody in the group. And each one of us has a different like area of work, right? Yeah. So it's interesting because what I don't have, like through the morphic field, I'm connected to your abilities, you're connected to mine. So when I bring up a point of view that I have about something, everybody else's information is connected to mine. So it's almost like, here's my problem, here's all of the solutions that could go into solving it. And I think that's the power of the group. It really is a heal yourself, heal the world kind of thing. And so I like to think of it like you're a log and I'm a log, or you're a piece of wood. Yeah. And you have a little fire on there, like maybe a little pilot light with a little fire. And if we put them together, the fire gets bigger. And we put a few more together and the fire gets bigger. And pretty soon it's like, that's the source, that's the fire. And you bring somebody into that group, and it's just like, talking about a morphic field. It warms up. Yeah, it's the whole thing transforms. And I think that's the thing. And we could talk about it
so much, but it's like to experience it is the thing.
It's the thing. And one of the things that were like the, the key points for me from the group is like when you're doing healing work, right? A lot of people call it shadow work or whatever it is that they call it, the name that they give it. Most of the people will be like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed because I'm doing this, and this week I'm doing this shadow work. It's like we're drained. And I've experienced it before trying to do it on my own because I'm seeing these patterns, right? You get drained, you get physically tired. And in this group, it's just light. It doesn't drain you. It doesn't leave you drained the next day. We can participate every day, and it doesn't drain you. And like on other kinds of healings that I've tried, it's like you do it here. Let's give it a month until I do something else again, or until I look into something else, because it's energetically draining. And I don't know if it's because we're doing it by ourselves and we're trying too hard. I just know that in the group, we do, like last week for me was amazing. It was huge. And I didn't feel tired one day. I felt so productive. I did all of these things that I needed to do while doing the healing.
Yeah, I think
and most people get stuck in the healing. Like,
I think
I've been doing healing for 5 years. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like holding on to a bunch of books from the past. And so our this is more like you get to set the books down. You don't have to like keep looking through the books and holding on to all your junk. And and it's like if anybody wants more information, click on the link for Ellen, and she can talk with you. She'll meet with you and talk with you and chat with you. You can message her and if you want to interact with us in our group, let us know. And it's ralphhavens.com/gold. And just let us know what's up. And let us know you came from this Facebook Live or YouTube or wherever you're seeing it of me and Ellen, because we've got something special for you if you want to reach out to us. And what I'm trying to think of, the stories are quite remarkable of stuff that's been different. One of the reasons we do it is because we have a lot of what we call socially conscious entrepreneurs or conscious entrepreneurs. But there's also other entrepreneurs that are doing stuff that maybe they don't think of themselves as healers, but they're helping people with making money or doing Facebook ads or doing things. And I tell you, everybody's got their version of helping people. And these days, it's so important to clear your stuff. Whatever you're doing as an entrepreneur, if there's something that's you're like, God, I should be making more money, or I do these offers and I do these things, or for a healer, you're doing all this stuff, but you're just not.
Or I don't know what's my life purpose, right? Because a lot of people are out there in meaningless jobs. Like I'm just doing this for the money because I'm lost. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what is my purpose. And I feel like the more that we clear these layers that we made to protect ourselves from like all the heavy stuff that we're feeling from other people's morphic fields, like generational morphic fields, the more we clear it, the more we get in touch with our essence, with like what it is that we have to offer. That's what I feel like it's been changing for me. The more that we do this, the more that I feel comfortable with what it is that I have to offer, the more that the clients feel comfortable with what it is that I'm offering them. And it's like, so I can help more people when I'm more in touch with myself. And the more stuff that I clear, the more in touch I am.
And I think it's like, for me, the idea is like, all this past of my parents' failure and, this generational stuff. It's like, for some reason, that's been the thing to clear. On this mission to like, help heal myself, heal my family, heal the world. And whatever you're dealing with, it's like, there's a reason you're called to do what you're doing, or you don't even know what you're doing. But it's like there's a
Yeah.
reason you're on this. If you're listening to a still, you know, after an hour, it's like you're looking for something. There's something gnawing at you. You know you're supposed to do something. If you've got a business, if it's you know, there's some, you know, there's something, this X factor, this, what is this thing that's not letting you really zoom it.
Yeah.
We found something that it helps you get what you want. You know, the like I call her, she's my friend now. You know, she started with me and she was stuck at $3,000 a month, and then in the first month made $22,000 clearing this stuff, and then 50,000. And other people that in the entrepreneurial world that already had funnels and offers and stuff, there was still something stopping them from, like, why is this not totally working? And clearing this stuff has been the key. And then just people dealing with really, really severe life issues, you can come to peace and then actually see a change in the physical world. So it's quite an interesting group. It's an awesome group of people, and Ellen and I are in it and doing it, and we do it every day. And if you want to chat with us, contact Ellen, find her link, contact me, ralphhavens.com/gold. And I'm going to just save your link again. And I just know that if you've got something going on and you want to heal it from the past, and you don't even know what it is, or you have a sense of it, there's a way to heal it.
And especially if you're afraid of it.
Yeah,
don't just try it out. There's no suffering out there. There's no one like breaking down. It is so easy to do this in this group. So
the group will get you there.
I was talking to a friend.
Let me give you context. It's like Instagram.com/Ellen, ELENCSTERAPEUTA, and it's in the comments, and we'll share it to different places that we post this. And I hope to do more with you, and because I know you do this work in Brazil, and you've what's cool about, one of the many things that's cool about you is you've had businesses, and you've learned how to run businesses, and then you've somehow come to this realization that some of this past generational stuff has been a reason certain things kind of do certain things, like, you know, and you've been led to this heal yourself, heal the world thing, and this is your version now, and you're doing it in Brazil, and we're getting you out to the people in the United States. We know people all over the world actually watch this. So I'm just excited to get your version of this, your flavor of this out to the world. So I want to do more with you, and join us, guys.
And I'm super excited to talk about this. I'm like, to all of my friends, I'm like, guys, you need to try this group, because oh my God, it was so difficult before. It doesn't have to be. So I was just like, you know, you guys have to try it. It's just awesome.
So ralphhavens.com/gold, and you can actually listen to some of the success stories, and then reach out to me, reach out to Ellen. And if you want to check out the group, let us know. It's the biggest thing we're doing, and it's huge. Awesome. So Ellen, thank you so much for being on.
Oh, thank you, Ralph.
And I know it's getting later in Brazil right now, so I will I'll click us out of the group, and then I'll leave us on for a minute just to chat.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let me stop the live stream and